So the next step now is the hooks. So, and I'll just quickly go through this. Okay, so I'll quickly explain how to create hooks and what they are for also. So SpecFlow hooks allow you to create your code in a better way, right? I would say, so a better way that you can manage it properly, right? So it also reduce redundant code as well. So which means that there's some code that you need to run before your steps, some code can be run after your steps. So basically it just makes your code easily managed. And so you also run your code in a way that you don't write a lot of codes, right? Repeatable codes. But yeah, so eventually removes redundancy in your code anyway. So, and one thing that you need to know, all right, is that once you have a hook on your framework, it is global. Global in the sense that even anywhere that particular hook is, it will fire up once the criteria that that hook should meet has been met. So what I'm saying right now is, for instance, you have a hook that's a before feature, right? So, and you place it anywhere in your code, right? Anywhere you place it, when you want to run a test, before your feature is run, that particular hook will fire up, right? So if you have another hook that say before, let's say before test or before scenario, so that means before your scenario will start or before your test will start, that particular step will be fired up. So that's why it is very, very important to know where those hooks are, because you just see them, you just see something is happening and it's not part of your test because it's not within your core test, but it's something written somewhere, right? So because it's global, right, it doesn't matter where it is, it might not be within your immediate test, you will just fire up. So that's where you need to know, so that I don't assume that, oh, where is this particular thing, where is it executing from? So, and that's why I normally recommend that you should create a folder for hooks, right? As you can see from the SpecFlow created folder, hooks folder is not there. But for me, I think this has been my ways of writing this for over, yeah, I would say more than 1.5 decades actually. So, and yeah, so okay, let's continue on that. So yeah, so I've kind of explained this. So available hooks are before test run, before feature, before scenario block, before step, after scenario block. So, but not everything is used, right? The one that I highlighted, the bold, the one bold right now, before feature, before scenario, after feature, those are the common ones actually. So you don't normally see people pull before steps because, to be honest, it doesn't actually make a lot of meaning actually to use them. And before test could be useful, but not that it's being used every time. So I will also tell you what they are used for, right? Yeah, and why do you need them? For the before ones, right? You can use them as your preconditions, right? For instance, let's say you want to run your test and you need to fire up Chrome driver, right? So you can actually put that in your before features, right? So that means for every feature that you run, you're going to have one instance of Chrome for it actually. So, or you want to connect to database before your test run, you want to do some preconditions, like even maybe closing every Chrome that was opened before you open another one. You can, like a preparative steps that you want to do before your test is executed, or before your feature is executed, or before your scenario is executed. So those are the things that you put in the before scenarios. And for the after one, so those are the things that you want to do after your test has finished. For instance, you can say after scenario will be doing screenshots for your failed test or for your past test. You want to put that in the after scenario. So that means when your scenario has finished, then you can do a screenshot of your test, or you can do a report of your test. So the same thing applies for the feature ones. After your feature has finished, yeah, maybe you might say, okay, all right, I want to close all my Chrome drivers or my anything that I've opened, so that I can return my test back to the state it was before. So that, yeah, so you just need to make a call what you need to put in there. It's not necessary that you use this, right? But it's a good practice to use it. But once you use them, you need to know why, and you need to know where they are, because sometimes it could be confusing when things are just being fired up and you don't know which of the before or after scenarios or after steps that you are using. So just bear that in mind, okay? I just put this now, actually, so to just let you know the orders of these particular hooks, right? For instance, at the beginning, you have before your test run. So if you have any steps there, it will first fire up, right? Then after that, you have the before features will then fire up next, before scenario will fire up next, before scenario block, before step will fire up next. So, and what it means that, okay, you might not have before test, you might only have before feature, right? So it means then before feature will fire up. But if you have before feature steps and also you have before scenario, those two will fire up in that order. So then after your test has finished, then for each of the steps, right? If you have after step, for each of the steps, you would, the after step will be fired. For each of the scenario block, after scenario block will be fired. Then for each of the scenarios as well. So, and then the after scenario will be fired. And also for the features, after the features have been executed, after feature block will be executed. Same applies to the test run as well. For the after test run, as the block after the execution block will also be fired for that as well. Okay. So this is an explanation, right, to kind of bring them together in text to say, okay, before test run, it's going to run before your entire test is run. After test run, is going to run after the entire test is run. Before feature is going to be run before executing each of your features. After feature is going to be executed after executing each of the features. So then before scenario or just before, like that anyway. So that would run before each scenario. And then after scenario or just after would kind of run after executing each scenario. Then before scenario block also is run before executing each scenario block, e.g. given or when. So as you can see. So then after scenario block also is run after executing scenario block. So that means after you run a given clause, then that step will be run. So then before steps, this is run before executing each of the steps, and then after step is run after executing each steps. Okay, so this is an example of your hooks actually. So right now I kind of created one here and say before scenario, I want to kind of instantiate my driver. So as you can see, I just say driver is equal to new Chrome driver. This would kind of instantiate my Chrome driver for me. Then at the end of the scenario, I want my driver to be closed or quit. So, and I can say driver.quit. So that will just kind of quit that particular driver. This example, and as you can see now, yeah, I did not actually use before feature. And the same way, I can even put my before feature at this. Yeah, I can put my driver here. So the difference is like, yeah, every scenario, I have to open an instance of my browser and I have to close it. To be honest, even these days, I would encourage people to use before feature so that you don't start to open the browser and close it every time, which I think can be time consuming. But if you use this, you also need to be smart about that, because that means you are using the same instance for your test, right? So it means that you need to ensure that you navigate rightly, you log in correctly, because you are going to use the same instance. But for now, just to make it easy for us, we're going to kind of put our instantiation of the Chrome driver in our before scenario, just to make it kind of easy for us. So to create your hooks, what you need to do is to right-click on the hook folder that we created. Right-click. Once you right-clicked, you then click on Add New Item. Yeah. So once you add new item, you see this screen opened. And if you have installed SpecFlow correctly, or if you have actually integrated SpecFlow with your Visual Studio, you should see something like this. But if you are not seeing the logo like this, right, or if you in this blue or green, but most especially with the Cucumber logo like that, if you're not seeing that, or you're not seeing this, it means you've not been able to install your SpecFlow, you've not been able to integrate your SpecFlow extension successfully. So you should go back to step A that I mentioned before. So, and that would fix these issues for you. So, okay, let's continue from there. So what you need to do is select SpecFlow on the left-hand side, and then that opens that. So, and after that, you select the SpecFlow hook, okay? And then at the bottom, right, you type the name. So I'll just say webhook, okay? Whether you say webhook or webhooks anyway, so that's fine. Then you click on add, okay? So as you can see, that is that, okay? So now, as is also automatically, it creates this framework for you, right? With the before scenario and after scenario for you. And then you can replace this, okay? What I've got right now, you can replace it. I'm just going to explain this quickly. You can start typing it just to familiarize yourself with it. So the first one is you're using clauses, right? Normally you don't add like that. You start from here, right? So you start public static WebDriver, but WebDriver is a class in OpenQA Selenium. So for you to use that, you need to now add using OpenQA Selenium at the top, right? So then after that, you now put driver is equal to new Chrome driver, yeah, app domain current setting. This basically goes to where your application is being run anyway. So then from here, you can see the Chrome driver is used. For you to use the Chrome driver, you need to kind of put this open using Selenium .chrome. Actually, that would allow you to use the Chrome driver. So the using system, that is fun, is standard. That's okay. You can leave that for now. So then also, because we are using SpecFlow later, so you can also add the TechTalk.SpecFlow. So this is what you need to put in this particular webhook for now anyway. So continue from that. So this is how it should look like when you finish, right, your webhook, okay? So then save all files, okay? So to save all files, you just click on this, basically, okay? All right, so yeah, so that is that on hooks. The next step now is creating your first feature files.